right, y'all. Let's talk about fat on low carb, high fat. Let's talk about fat on ketoagenesis. And let's talk about fat on a keto carnivore or standard keto and then keto carnivore. Standard keto would still involve the cruciferous veggies. So with that said, when can I drop my fat? Because I keep getting this question all the time. You guys know I started talking about coining the 200 grams of fat if you're doing keto. And then I discovered keto carnivore amazeballs, and I don't mean sweaty ones. And also if you're doing low carb, high fat, the fat. Do you eat a lot of fat? Like, how do you consume the fat? People are very confused. Because if you're doing any of these low carb protocols or no starch, sugar, and you don't have enough fat, you're going to feel horrible over time. And that's why it's not sustainable. Keto is not sustainable if you don't do it right. If you do it right, you'd be like me, 12 years on and almost 52 years of age. Okay. And I will never go back. This is the best thing I ever did. Done. And I want to talk to you guys about the fat. So essentially, if you're doing low carb, high fat, you don't want to mix your fats and your starches and sugars. Low carb, high fat could still involve things like white rice, which people do well on because all the anti-nutrients, most of them have been bleached out, so it just remains just straight starch. Hello, my brain froze. Starch. And you're using it to keep your glycogen storages nice and full, and you're not doing it for the health benefits. So, and then we have to be careful for things like the sweet potato because of the oxalate value, but I digress. Let's keep going on. So if you're doing like a low carb, high fat, you would still involve some fruits, some starches, and some more like things like carrots and things of this nature. But you still are going to consume high fat because if you're doing low carb, if you're doing your carbs under 100 or even 80 and below, and you don't have enough fat in, that's just unhealthy. That's just starvation. So you want to at least get in 150. I'd say between 120, 30 to 150. I really want to get the 150 in. Ketogenic people got to go straight 200. Some men I prefer to have 200 on low carb, high fat, especially active while doing carbs under 100. You're not driving ketosis, you're still glucose dependent when you're still doing low carb, high fat. You want to take your fats, like your animal fats, like your lard or tallow, and your ghee or butter, and you want to separate them. So you don't want to have them together. Because when your glucose spikes and you got all that fat in your blood, it's all going to store. But if you separate them, you're going to be lean and mean and a great machine if you're still glucose dependent. So that would look like, oh, I'm going to have a breakfast with some starches, maybe some fruit sugars, and then, or some sweet vegetables like sweets, like squash, carrots. And then mid-afternoon, after I've digested, I'm going to have a fatty tea or a broth. That's where you get the fat in between the meals. Now, or take down the volume of fat during the main meal, like do a tablespoon instead of 4 in your main meal. Now, for ketogenic people, it's 200, 12 tablespoons of animal fat at least, which doesn't even get you up to 200. It's like more around 167. With that said, then with carnivore, it's the same. Exact same. Same with keto, omnivore, and keto carnivore. Here's the thing. You get your fats on the keto side, right? Because low carb, high fat is not ketogenic. Ketosis is not ketotic. But keto, omnivore, and carnivore are ketogenic. When do I get to lower my fats? Everybody asks me this question. Not asks, but asks. You lower your fat over time. I would say 6 months minimum to a year. Depends if you are fully ketotic. And then you can start dropping your fats under 200, but not below 150. So you would max out around 150. Yeah. And then you would potentially up your movement, right? Your exercise, your walking, whatever you do, your strength training, but not for the long. You've got to adapt first, people. And people are like, I'm in ketosis. I'm like, no, you're not. Everybody thinks they're in ketosis. And then when you follow them around, they're like tired all the time. I'm like, I told you you're not in ketosis. There's a lot of little steps you got to do, and people are often not willing to do all these steps to become super, super highly adapted like I am in almost my 12th year at the age of almost 52, and I haven't cheated once, one and done. And I got some energy. How do you like my keto eyes? Okay. So with that said, am I going to do one more video? Maybe I'll do one more. I got a keto course going on at stephanieperson.com. It's a monthly membership. It's a course. It runs like a course, and I use low carb, high fat, standard keto omnivore, and keto carnivore as the subjects that I teach you guys how to do properly, so you don't get fracked up with autoimmunity and thyroid issue or adrenal issues. Just saying. With that said, we're going to go to my Instagram, which is Stephanie Ketogenic, my Facebook fan page, which is Stephanie, as you guys know, it's the business person. And I think I need to skateboard soon. I've been craving I really crave vert, but my knee's kind of jacked up. But with that said, I got some energy at almost 52, loving keto. Yeah, that's what's up. I gotta go do one more video, but I don't know what to talk about. So maybe you guys can write in the notes below. Don't forget to hit the notification bell on the subjects that you would like me to talk about in the future. And I'm out. Deuces.